So now that they've escaped the maze, could it get any worse? So Maze Runner, the ScorchTrials, the second movie in the Maze Runner, I'm assuming it's going to be a trilogy. Overall, the movie's one hell of a ride. When we reviewed the first movie, we pretty much unanimously said it was a good movie. We all really enjoyed it. So when the second movie was announced and they were coming out with it, I was very happy and excited to see it. And it definitely did not let me down. First of all, it is way more intense than the first movie. The first movie has its moments where you're on the edge of your seat. This one pretty much turns it up and keeps it there for pretty much the entire movie. Not to mention the fact that there were a number of horror-style jump scares. Really wasn't expecting that. And every single one of them got me. Didn't really take away from the action portion of the movie, but it definitely added some elements to that element without spoiling anything for the movie. So I think it was important to portray what they were using it for. I was really impressed by the action of this movie. It almost has a little bit from each genre. Everything from standard, gunplay to the parkour type action to even like some disaster movie style stuff where they're like on glass and the glass is breaking and stuff like that. It definitely adds together into a good gumbo, so to say. The end result and the end product is extremely entertaining. Not to mention the fact that they did more character development in this one than I think they did in the first one. While obviously that was important with it focusing a majority of the time in that one small area in the first movie, in this one they're bringing in characters and new faces, and a lot of it is pretty important that you become invested in these characters. And I think they did a good job with each of the characters, giving you just enough time to become invested at the level you're supposed to be invested in that character, and I was very impressed by that. Watch the first movie before you see this movie. This is one of those where it is not standalone. You need to know what happened in the first movie to really gain everything from this movie. I was extremely impressed. This is a see in theaters type of movie. Do not wait to rent it at home. So I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10, and the reason I'm giving it a perfect score is because I came into it expecting specific things, and it didn't let me down. When you come in with high expectations like I did based off the trailers, and then I walk out pleased and even more surprised like it was better than I was expecting, that is a perfect movie in my mind. I don't mean it's a perfect movie like everything was superbly written and everything like that. I mean the entertainment value is top notch. It embodies, in my opinion, what a perfect movie is. So let's see what our other runners had to say. So Maze Runner, the ScorchTrials, what do you think?
I really enjoyed this movie. I have not read the books, and I enjoyed the first movie too, and between the two of them, this has really inspired me to go check out those books. But I may wait until the next movie because it definitely looks like there's going to be more coming. The visual effects were great. I mean, it was a stunningly beautiful movie. I love the characters. I thought the character development was good. I like the interaction between the characters, and the new characters were integrated well so that you cared about them as well. So there didn't seem to be any throwaway characters, which I really appreciate. I really enjoyed it, and I'm a big fan of the post-apocalyptic genre. So
really good mix of a lot of other types of movies, genres, a little bit of Mad Max, a little bit of The Walking Dead, a little bit of The Terminator, a lot of Hunger Games, kind of put it all together and this comes out. That might sound like an insult, but it's not, because it's actually really enjoyable. It moves at a super fast pace, but they hold back a lot so that you keep wanting more. And you're like, wait, what's this all about? And then they give you a little bit more, and you're like, yeah, but what about that? And so it keeps you engaged, keeps you guessing. It's done on a really quality scale. These kids are climbing through the wreckage of buildings. It looks really convincing. And I'm like, where did they do this at exactly? Because it really looks very real for most of it. There's definitely some effects that I'm like, okay, they didn't maybe have enough budget over here. But for the majority of it, I mean, it's super compelling. There's not a lot of groaner moments. There's a few things that you could see coming, but it just sort of makes you reinvigorate, like, yeah, okay, I believe this because this is probably what would happen and how it would go down.
Very, very energetic, very entertaining, edge of your seat, thriller in a way movie. I mean, this was just awesome. I mean, it had little bits and pieces where I was sitting there kind of going, no. And it had pieces where I'm going, like, holding up on my seat going, oh, wow. You know, it was just like, there was a lot going on. I was not bored one bit in this movie. I can honestly say it was just as good as the first one, in my opinion. Without spoiling it, I mean, it was just, there's so much going on, from getting to the point where I was sitting there going, what's really going to happen in this movie? I mean, I wanted more, and I was getting it, but then it gets to that point, you know, and you're just like, I want more, and they stop giving it. but that was fine because hopefully this is going to be a trilogy. Hopefully this is going to have a lot more going on with it. I'm really going to be excited for a next movie. I mean, it's going to be like the first one to me. When I was at the end of it, I was like, I really hope there's the next one. They brought me another one, so I'm very happy with this movie. Not much more I can say about it other than, guys, go see this in theaters, because seeing it at home, yeah, you could have a really good TV and good, surround sound and all that, but it's just something about in the theater, you feel like you're actually there. And this movie made me feel like I was in it to a point where I felt like I needed a help. That's what I felt.
Well, after seeing the first movie today, actually, I gotta say this was a step up. I expected it to be a little bit like it was the first one, though I wanted them to expand the story, which they did. What impressed me the most was the fluidity of the camera's movement and cinematography with the visual effects shots, especially the lightning storms, the ruined apocalyptic cities. The camera just seemed to move around really freely, and the composition was so amazing. If this movie gets an Oscar nod for visual effects, that would not surprise me in the least. The music also stood out for me, especially near the end credits. Really epic, really awesome. I look forward to the third movie, and fourth, that they break it up into 2 parts, which has been known to happen with Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, and etc. I don't know why the word trials was put in there. I thought it'd be like a series of tests that they would endure unknowingly throughout the entire course of the movie, but it turned out to be a little more chaotic than that, so that was unexpected. Overall, it was a step up, not better than the first movie, but different, and a continuation of the story, and I look forward to the next chapter.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it and why?
I'm going to give it an 8.5, mainly because there was a slight pacing issue here and there where the action and the drama just dragged on for a little bit too long in some spots before we finally calmed down and talk a little bit more. But other than the pacing issues, the movie, for its genre and for what it's trying to be, was very good.
I'm going to give this a solid 9, and the reason being is because it was really, really good. I want to give it a 10. I just don't know if I don't think I've ever given really a lot of movies 10. And the reason being is because I don't want to give those movies too much of a high score for me to one day get my mind blown by another movie. I don't know. I don't see myself giving a 10 out. But
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Super entertaining movie. Definitely recommend it. For me, some things were a little too predictable, a little bit too cliche, but 8 out of 10 is really high, and I highly recommend it.
I give it a 9 only because of a personal preference that I can't say without giving something away, but for me it's a 9. Definitely a good solid 9. It's definitely what comes.
To see our review from last week for Transporter Refueled, click here. Don't forget to like, favorite, and if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel. And we'd like to know down in the comment section below, what is your favorite post-apocalyptic movie? And we're letting you know before you go at Brennan Theaters. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'm going to do it a different way. Fuck Facebook.
No, we're good. That's one in the gag reel, though.
I feel like I'm missing something. So Maze Runner's Scorch Trial. It's not Maze Runners. It's Maze Runner. Maze Runner Scorch Trial, correct? Is that what it is? Scorch Trial? Is it Trials or Trial?
Well,